Hello and welcome to HCA Succession After Show. My name is Rasha Goel and I'm going to be your host for today's episode. But joining me for an in-depth discussion about Succession Season 3, Episode 7 are my two co-hosts, Will Mavity.
I actually had birthday cake that I was going to be eating like on camera, but it was Milk Bar. I consumed it far too quickly. So just know I planned for the bit, but I was weak. It's a birthday cake themed show, by the way.
All good, Will. All good. And Sharronda Williams.
Hey, I'm excited. I feel like it's my birthday now, even though I wouldn't want as a depressing birthday as Kendall had. But happy birthday, Kendall. Mission out.
Thanks, Sharronda. I love my team here. All right, guys. So before we jump into our conversation, just a few things that you should know about our show. The Succession After Show will contain spoilers for current episodes and previous episodes of Succession. So if you haven't watched these episodes and you don't want to be a part of the spoilers and you really don't want to know what happened, then we suggest that you come back and watch, because each week we're going to be breaking down what happens in the episode, our favorite moments, our favorite dialogues, and predictions for the following week's episode. So again, we don't want to ruin it for you. We suggest you coming back to our episode if you are not all caught up. And again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. We've got a lot of great content and we love hearing from you as well. So I know I've been reading through some of the comments for our after show and just love engaging with you, as do my co-hosts. All right, so without further delay, let's talk about this week's episode, guys. So this week's Succession episode is titled Too Much Birthday and is written by Tony Roche and Georgia Prichette and directed by Lorene Scafaria. Now, this episode is very intense. I would say, can't wait to talk to you guys about it, but it's basically follows Kendall at his lavish birthday party, which doesn't end up being a very happy birthday bash. We've got Shiv and Roman trying to arrange a meeting with Lukas Matsson, who is a tech mogul that was recently snubbed off by Logan. So a lot of different drama happening. So guys, I'd like to start off by talking to both of you about what you actually thought about this episode. I'm going to chime in afterwards. I thought there were a lot of clever things that we saw in this, but Will, let's start off with you. What did you think of this episode and where is this all heading?
Well, I will say we are 7 out of 9 episodes in, and I'm kind of still shocked by how little has happened in terms of advancing the plot. That being said, I certainly enjoyed this episode. I would say this episode reminded me why I despise some of these characters. Kendall especially comes across as just a total piece of shit this episode, which is, of course, the point. But, it's abundantly clear to everyone who sees him that, he's a man-child. He's trying to recapture his childhood. And there's this moment of him, like, tearing through his pile of presents like some kid who's dissatisfied with a gift because he's trying to find the gift that his own kids gave him. So, I mean, it did make me sad for him. I like where this episode is going with Greg, which we will talk about. And I guess, we discussed last week, we figured that Tom wouldn't go to prison. It just seemed like they were telegraphing that too much for him to actually do it. So it seems like Tom is out of the woods, which I'm very happy for him. So those are big takeaways. And then also, interesting how quickly Roman has become, I guess, the favored child and has become competent all of a sudden.
And Sharronda, what did you think?
Well, I can't believe that you said that Kendall is the worst. It's definitely Roman was trash this entire episode. Like the last 5 minutes of this episode, I said, Roman, you were my favorite. You were the chosen one. Okay. Why after one successful thing did you get like this? But to me, I actually sympathize a lot with Kendall just because, like, you can just tell that all he wanted was his family. He just wanted his family around him for his birthday. And I just felt like planning a birthday party, seeing what his father sent him on his damn birthday. I was just like, your family is trash. Like, you need to just walk away from your entire family. And you also need to go to therapy at the same time and probably rehab as well. But I think it really showed how there are no good people in Kendall's corner and how broken he actually is. I feel like that has been the theme of what we have been seeing Kendall's breakdown, literally, especially as we get into the last couple of moments of this week's episode. But yeah, I mean, I liked it for that aspect of it, but to be honest with you, it's episode 7. Nothing has happened. There have been no repercussions, no consequences. No one has really gone through anything, and the season is almost over. So I'm just a little confused as to, are things going to get juicy, or have we just ran out of ideas?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of wondering the same time, like, where is this all headed? Of course, again, if you guys have been noticing too, I think we were talking about this before, that the last 2 episodes too have been kind of taking place at one location. So even though this one opened up at the office, with Logan and him telling them that, hey, things are not as easy as they seem. It's not a whole success. We're not really celebrating and cheering where we're at. We have a lot of work to do. Then we see the rest of the episode with the birthday party. I just kept wondering, where is this headed? And, this episode really showed me even more how dysfunctional this family is and how each character is really just in it for themselves. I think, you said it, Will. We kind of predicted last week that Tom was not going to go to jail. So it was kind of neat seeing how that whole thing unfolded and him walking into Greg's office. And, I was like, whoa, like, I don't know how I would have reacted.
Flips the table.
Over the table. And there were some moments there, but that birthday, I felt, Kendall had set up this huge bash, wanted to prove himself one more time about how wonderful he was. But that night really ended up in disaster. And you could totally tell that, yeah, he does need lots of therapy. You could actually feel his pain. I felt like as we watched him throughout the entire episode, you could feel how he was just an abandoned child almost by his family, and just really everything was starting to appear fake to him. We'll get into the lines later, but I know that there were moments of some of the things he said to his siblings where I felt really, really bad for him. I mean, this birthday really wasn't a celebration. And then I just have to, of course, mention that at the beginning of the episode, we see him planning for this like dynamic performance and how he's going to make this entry and all that. And then by the end of the episode, he decides not to do that at all, cancels the entire performance that he was going to do and wants to go home. So you could just really see this Kendall that shatters by the end of the episode.
He was going to crucify himself, right?
Yes.
I was really hurt that we couldn't get like a follow-up to the L to the OG song. I was really waiting on that performance. It's literally what I was looking forward to the entire episode, especially since he was singing a Billy Joel song. So I am still hurt, and I need to get like some type of cut footage to see what the full performance was supposed to look like.
Well, you know what? We'll reach out, Sharronda, and see if we can get you something that was possibly cut out of this. What do you guys think of the dynamics between the siblings now? So I think originally we were kind of seeing Kendall in his own corner. We were debating over who may kind of be swayed and go work with him. But I felt like in this episode, it's not there. There is no group. I felt like everybody was kind of on their own, because now you even see Roman throwing Shiv under the bus. So what did you guys think about that? The dynamics between the siblings in this one? Oh, we can start, Sharronda. Let's start off.
Sorry. I don't know why I just had the delayed reaction. My apologies. But I think with the siblings, I don't know. I feel like it's always been every person for themselves. I mean, to be quite honest, even though Shiv and Roman were on kind of the same side of working with their dad, they're still been at odds with one another, trying to prove who is the better child. So I don't think the dynamics has changed at all. I do think that now, I think the main dynamic that has changed is between Shiv and Roman and Kendall, just because now Shiv actually sees Roman as a threat. You know, when Logan makes a decision to have Roman give the card to Kendall about buying him out of the company, and the fact that Shiv didn't know about that really did something to her. You almost see her like go and let loose, like out on the dance floor. I mean, that really did something to Shiv's spirit. And now she's starting to feel as though she is kind of at a point of no return. He's continuously trying to shut her out, no matter how she's trying to repair that bridge from the initial argument they had a couple of episodes ago. But yeah, like it was beef between Shiv and Kendall, but now it's like Roman's just an asshole now. So Connor's been doing his own thing the whole time. So we don't worry about Connor.
Connor's registering in the polling.
Connor, guys, let's talk about Connor. What are your thoughts on him with this episode? I mean, I felt like we just saw bits and pieces of him. He's standing on his own ground, doesn't really give a shit about anybody else anymore. But Will, you were going to say something. Chime in on this.
Yeah, well, he's polling at 1% now. He actually registers on the polls.
Hey, it's 4 million people, Will.
I don't think they're going to drop that president subplot. And I do kind of think somehow he's going to become a viable contender in the race. Because, he had given up on it. But I feel like there was a reason to have Logan consider him last week and actually weigh that and then have him choose to continue go about. Like, I don't think this is just going to be a running joke. I don't know if he's going to end up running third party and ruining their candidate shot at the election or what, but I do think that's going to go somewhere. But yeah, honestly, this episode basically convinced me that he is the most innocuous of all the family members and the one who pisses me off the least. Because everybody definitely got on my nerves this week. One other thing I want to say about Kendall, we mentioned earlier, you do feel bad for him for how hurt he is by his family, but he was really horrible to Greg this episode.
He's mean. Oh my gosh. Yes. It broke my heart. He called him like he's like a tapeworm and a parasite. The scene between Kendall and Greg when they're going down the escalator, when he's asking him when Greg's asking for permission about dating or asking his assistant out, that was just so heartbreaking to me. The way he talked to him and he was so condescending. He was outright just mean.
Did he lie though? I was like, Kendall's telling the truth. He is a parasite. Like, he literally, come on, you guys. Like last week, literally, Tom is worried about going to jail. And he literally asked Tom, hey, can you just take the rap for the both of us? Like, that was hella disrespectful. He's suing his grandfather. He's suing his grandfather's charity that he wants to give his life to, not because he was going to give Greg the money, but Greg proved to not be trustworthy, and he just goes with wherever the money is.
Oh, wait, Sharronda, hold on. Didn't Tom kind of throw him into this whole mess in the first place?
Tom did, but I just felt like how he asked him, he didn't care. Like, Greg is about Greg. Greg does not care about none of these people. Greg cares about Greg.
That was he has to. Look at the people he's working with.
I'm just saying, Kendall didn't tell no lies. Now, was he rude? Yes, he was rude, but he didn't tell no lies. He didn't. It's the same. It's literally the same thing his grandfather told him. Like,
yeah, but he also he mocked his appearance, and he called him like a Cro-Magnon and all kinds of stuff. I mean, like, he really went beyond the pale, and how also it's just like weird. Like, you don't have permission to date my PR person. Just in general, that's kind of weird.
Look at it. I'm looking at it from Kendall's point of view. You was on my side, and then you left and you joined the enemy, and now you're coming up to me like we're friends. Like, I'm gonna put in a good word with Humphrey and whatnot. Like, we're not cool. Like, you're literally working for my dad. You left me to go be with my dad because you felt like that was the winning side. And no, I do think that Greg is a parasite. I'm not saying that I still don't, I want Greg to be happy. I want him to go on his date and have a good time and get married and have kids. But at the end of the day, Greg is a leech. He is a leech.
I think Greg's trying to find his way. And, Tom was mean to him, too, when they go through that tunnel. What was it, the kindness tunnel? Or I forgot the name of that tunnel.
Yeah. Everyone gives you, like, affirmations.
Because he took his drugs in the wrong order, so he wasn't getting the high that he wanted. But I'm just saying, I think everyone's very disrespectful. I don't want to say that anyone's better than anyone else. I just said what Kendall had to say. Greg is a leech. He's a parasite. He is basically just trying to be with whoever is going to help him succeed. And I just want him to grow up. Like his grandfather told him, you need to grow up and you need to be your own man. And really, you need to take control of your own path because you're hitching yourself to these different wagons every couple weeks. And it's like, you really have to worry about yourself and not depend on anybody else to take care of you.
Well, I think he's trying to find his way, and hopefully we'll see him do more of that. Okay, speaking of finding their way, though, what about the interaction between Roman and Lucas, excuse me, and that whole thing about that conversation, leaving Shiv out, and the whole thing that happened in the bathroom? Do you think that Lucas is going to end up selling this company to them, or that app, or do you think he's playing them?
I don't know. I mean,
that whole toilet scene was
conversation
scene.
Before the toilet scene, I was just like, so you really just asked this man, when is his dad gonna die? Like, how much longer do you think your dad is gonna live? But I understood. See, you guys, you're gonna think I'm a horrible person because I understand where all these crazy people are coming from. But he was just like, your dad is not the easiest person to get along with. He's gonna be hovering over me. Like, how much longer before he's gonna meet his end? Because if that's the case, I don't want to do this deal. But it was just a very weird conversation when he said that I needed, what did he say? I needed privacy, pussy, and pasta.
Yes, that whole conversation was so bizarre to me.
I was like, what is happening in this dialogue right now? But I don't know if he's playing them. I just think he doesn't care. I think he's going to say what needs to be said to keep things going, to keep his company like kind of in a race. But I don't know. It's something that doesn't sit right in my spirit with me, with Lucas.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you don't cast Alexander Skarsgård unless you're going to have him play a significant role somehow. But I guess one thing it shows, like them making this deal in the bathroom while like peeing on their phones, I think it kind of shows that maybe the reason Roman is in a good place right now is that ultimately the other two, Kendall and Shiv, when they tried to assert themselves in this ultimately very toxic company, tried to do business by still being upstanding. Whereas, and like Kendall tries to be uglier, like in the first season when he decides to play hardball with that guy who is bringing in the news company, and he's like, I'm gonna stop being nice, and he like insults him, but it feels unnatural and fake, and that guy can read that. I think Roman is deep down kind of a seedy, just baser person who kind of thrives with these sorts of individuals. And that's the kind of company that this is. And so he is the unseemly embodiment of all that. And so when it's having to reach out to like the worst possible ethically presidential candidate or a slimy asshole like this, you need like a worm like Roman to really lure them in. He's on top right now because he's not pretending to be a good guy. Now, I do think the ending of this episode, there's no, anytime in this show when someone gets really confident, something terrible is going to happen to them. So, the show closing with him just like berating his siblings, saying like, I won, I'm the favored one, I'm on top. Like, there's no world in which he stays there. So I assume something bad will happen. But I do think Skarsgård's willing to play ball, and I'm curious to see what his presence is going to bring with his whatever his app is to their universe.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Sharronda.
Are we going to talk about Roman's weird obsession with his mother and how the hallway badge really bothered him? Even going into the conversation with Lucas and Roman, I was just like, I really need you to unpack this in therapy because there's something deeper that I'm missing.
Yeah, there's a theory that on Reddit and stuff that Roman was sexually abused, and it's not clear by who, but it could be, I don't know, but it could be that it was his mother. And we're gonna see her, I think, later this season. I think they go to a wedding, I think her wedding, so maybe it touches on that. But there's all that stuff, his weird fetish for getting berated by older women. That's what turns him on. And they talked about how he can't pee in front of people. He has all these weird sexual insecurities. And I think they mentioned in one season, they're like, oh yeah, like Uncle so-and-so used to put Roman in a cage. So I do think it's entirely possible that either it's written to have that subtext, like he might have been abused by someone in the family, or the show is explicitly going to say that. But yeah, I mean, also the fact that like Kendall created a vagina tunnel is pretty weird in itself. Like they clearly all have mommy issues.
They definitely do. But I think we constantly see that coming up in every episode with them, right? One thing I was thinking about too while you guys were talking about that was a scene with Roman and at the end of the episode, actually. What did you guys make of? There was a dialogue that stood out to me about Roman mentioning to Shiv that did she kind of think that Tom was going to go to jail, and was she happy about it? Did you guys take note of that, or did that stand out to you at all?
Yeah, I mean, even in the beginning of the episode, when he told her, like, he basically said, like, you don't have human skills, like you don't know how to be human. Like he mentions that, and Tom breaks up the whole discussion. But yeah, like the first thing she said when Jerry told them what happened, she was like, "Hey, congratulations, Dad." But I'm just like, "Girl, your whole husband was gonna go to jail."
No reaction though.
Logan is the only one who literally went to Tom and was like, "I won't forget this." Like he's the only one that actually acknowledged Tom and what he was willing to do for the family. And I think that Roman had a point. Like, you don't like your husband. And it goes back to the question that Greg had asked Tom, how the hell did you pull Shiv in the first place? Like, I don't know how two people like this, how do you meet and fall in love?
That was going to be my favorite line. Tom's response. I think that's going to be one of those things that gets like memed to death on Twitter. What does he say? It's something like, I have a dick like a redwood and I use it like a stallion or something. And then Greg's like, oh yeah, prove it. And then Tom's just like, wait, what? Like the continued like kind of awkward sexual tension between them is so funny.
Yeah, I just feel like there's this buildup between the two of them. And I'm just waiting for Shiv to file the divorce papers or go cheat with somebody else or something, because it's clear to me now more than ever that she just really does not care about Tom. Or I'm waiting for him to walk out on this whole thing, especially since he's not going to jail anymore now, because I don't know, where he stands. We know that the company's never going to be turned over to him. So it's just going to be interesting to see how that whole thing unravels. Was there a favorite moment or a favorite dialogue that each one of you want to share from this week's episode?
My favorite moment is definitely the hallway of newspaper clippings that Kendall had for his siblings. It was the most hilarious thing. Like when he talks about like Roman's sibling dies in a tragic jerk-off accident, and Connor is elected president for shitting his bag, and Shiv's like wife of Tom arrested in sweep of city streetwalkers, Tom ashamed. I just thought that was hilarious. That was the funniest thing in the entire episode, outside of the whole conversation between Greg and Tom. Even though I just love them together, I really want them to become a couple because I feel like they deserve to be with one another. But yeah, the newspaper clippings, that definitely that took me out. That was hilarious.
And Will?
Yeah, I think that was probably my favorite individual scene. So I'll just go with, the two interactions with Tom and Greg, both that subsequent one where he, he's like, prove it, but also their first scene together where he comes in to let Greg know they're not going to jail, and then he just picks their table up and flings it over and spills all of Greg's papers and stuff, and then like kisses him on the forehead. So funny.
He was like, he was like, scooch over, buddy. He's like, just scooch over real quick. Then seeing the co-workers stare at them like, what the hell just happened in here? I just thought, yeah, I love that moment.
And we always talk about dialogue. So any favorite dialogue or mentions of, whatever they said that stood out to you?
I'm still going off the 3 Ps, and the 3 Ps, and basically when Tom said that I have a dick the size of a rat sequoia and I fuck like a bullet train. I mean, clearly we all need to be using these pickup lines because we will find ourselves a rich spouse, because that's what Tom did, and I'm just gonna follow life through his shoes.
This isn't a line, but I love the fact that Greg did in fact secure a date. That that the PR woman, I think, pretty clearly did it mainly because she was annoyed that Kendall said that Greg couldn't ask her out. She's already pissed off at him. But I'm honestly curious to see because I think Nicholas Braun had said in an interview that Greg gets a love interest this season, which makes me think that them getting drinks might actually go better than we expect. And like they actually end up being a couple, which will be hysterical because he's so awkward. And she is, in fact, so out of his league.
That's so funny you say that, because I thought too that she just said yes because she's completely annoyed with Kendall at this point and is just going for the heck of it. And I didn't really see anything developing between the two of them. So and that would be kind of funny to see. I think one of the scenes I enjoyed was the tunnel between that tunnel walk, because of the way Tom was. Those poor people were hired to be kind. So mean to them. And I just thought that was, and the way he's just going back and forth with Greg. What do you anticipate for the next episode? Because I felt like watching this episode really didn't set us up for the next episode to gear us into what may be happening. I mean, of course, with the app, I'm curious to see what happens with Lukas, but I don't know. I don't think it really set us up. So what do you both think is going to happen, or where is all this leading us?
So the next episode, I think, is supposed to be the wedding episode. And obviously last time we had a wedding episode, it ended up with Kendall killing someone. I think the only thing this season can do is, now that they've basically set it up that Kendall has no legal case against the company and he's pathetic and without allies, I think the only thing they can do to really keep the show interesting is that Logan is going to have to either die or become incapacitated permanently, because he's smashed the competition. He's made it clear no one is ready to take over. And then what would happen if basically the season culminates with him having another stroke? Because then it's truly a free for all. It won't be Kendall. Then who is it? Beyond that, I don't know. I don't know what else could happen at the wedding. We have 2 episodes left, and everything is pretty much where it was when season 2 ended. Like, the company is going strong-ish. They've kind of quelled Stewie and the other shareholders. Logan is back with his faculties and is pretty much the undisputed leader. Kendall is disgraced. I think something drastic has to happen, right?
Oh, yeah, because I don't know, you guys, I feel like we're still up in the air. I mean, I felt like by the end of season 2, you were still left at this climatic point, like what's going to happen? There was a buildup. I'm not feeling that buildup between episode 7 up until episode 7 going into 9. So I feel like everything is basically up in the air. Yeah, I don't know where this is leading to. And I'm still curious as to which kid is going to take over.
I mean, if I'm just being honest, I'm done trying to predict what's going to happen. It's the 7th episode of the season, and nothing's happened this whole entire season. Let's just be honest. I still love Succession. I'm here for the punchlines. I'm here for Greg and Tom's underlying relationship that I need to just actually come to fruition. But nothing's happened. I don't think if anything happens, it won't be until the final 2 episodes, because I just assume that episode 7, we will be getting more. It's like everyone is just getting off too easily, and it's starting to get a little annoying. And when you don't feel as though that there are no real stakes for your characters, then that's when you really start to lose faith in the show. So I don't know. I'm just here for the score every week. Get to listen to that beautiful score. And I'm more so interested in whether or not Kendall is going to take if he's going to sell his shares and just take the $2 billion and be like, peace out. That's what he was telling his wife. Like, I might just be done. I might just walk away. And at this point, he doesn't feel like any of his siblings is on his side. So what is left for him to stay and try to figure out? Just become an easy billionaire and just move on.
I feel like he's at that point where he just keeps fighting and fighting, and he just keeps getting knocked down. And you finally get to this point when you get knocked down that you can't really fight anymore. And I feel like we've kind of seen that happen with him in this episode, at least. I mean, I thought that was kind of a very sentimental moment at the end when we see him with his girlfriend, May, right?
She's trash too, but yes.
Oh, she definitely is. she's in it for the money.
Yeah.
I don't think she really cares about Kendall, but you know, I feel for him. But yeah, I think it's just really going downhill for him. Will, do you want to add anything to that?
No. I mean, I do unfortunately agree with you, Sharronda, that I'm not quite, on the edge of my seat this season the way I was last season. But, I'm hoping that something really exciting is going to happen in these last 2 episodes. And as you said, it's still, the dialogue is delicious. And I do love the interactions with the characters. So.
And I'm going to add, I love the way it's shot still too. I mean, even in this episode, I loved some of the camera angles and the way they captured the moments, and even it was, yeah, I do love that. But yeah, not as exciting as we had season 2. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today. I mean, I really enjoyed talking to both of you about this, and I'd love for even our viewers to chime in and let us know what you thought about the birthday. Was it too much birthday for you? And of course, Sharronda, where can our viewers find you?
You can find me on all social media platforms at Pay or Wait or payOrWait.com.
And Will?
You can find me on Twitter at Mavericks Movies.
Great. And you can all find me on all social media platforms at Rasha Goel. Thank you so much once again for joining us on the HCA Succession After Show. We love coming here every week and talking and engaging with you guys. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. And again, feel free to share your thoughts, your comments. Again, it's always great to hear from you guys, and let us know, where do you think these next 2 episodes are headed? Thanks again for everyone for joining us, and have a fabulous week.